Howdy, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about a pair of sabers. These are Starfall Mystery Sabers 191 and 192. David of the Saber Museum got the last 10 Mystery Saber spots, so Nick decided on these to make them a matching pair. And so you can see the only difference, and you'll only see it when the marbles are off, is that there's a slight smoky variation difference between the Noah Drew marbles in the crystal chamber. So let's hop down to the table. Let's talk about what I put into it, what's going on with the electronics. We can do a quick little overview here at the top just to show it off. So a lot of copper and aluminum. And when I went to go kind of use my selection of switches, I randomly pulled these out just to see. I don't normally do these soft switches anymore, but just something about the pop of color of these red and green on this kind of mostly copper and aluminum, I thought that was cool. So up top we have our G-Pix from Goth Sabers. So this is the newer emitters that I'm using. Again, we've got a Noah Drew marble. Inside this little front-facing tube, there is a Shadowfoil accent PCB with it's a circular accent, so you can get some kind of animations. And then how we get to everything is we remove the pommel. And so this is a nice set of sabers, no tools needed. You've got your blade retention set screw up top, and then we'll do that. So let's hop down to the table real quick. We'll show off these. All right, so again, really cool design here, matching setup. So your green is going to be your aux, your red is going to be your power. Again, we've got that G-Pix with, what is it, like 28 pixels in the cruciform pattern, and then each of these on and off states do something different.
Hero's Journey.
You'll notice that I'm having to press a little bit hard on this particular one. So let's do this. Let's focus on one of these. I'll go ahead and leave this here. We do have matching plates here. So the timer, I think, is around 20 minutes. So that's because David likes to leave these on for a long time while he's taking pictures. But both of these have the exact same chassis, and it is a Mighty Mini. So there's a lot packed into it. Let me go ahead and show off both of them just because. And again, these are the same. Now, I will say, Nick told me that these pommels don't necessarily go to each other. I didn't decide to test that. So what I did was right off the bat was I marked one of them with a dot. And then on the inside, you can sort of see a bit of marking there, and then there is another dot just in case the threads. So this one will go with this saber. It's possible you can use them. I didn't want to chance it and get mixed up. So because he said that to me, I went ahead and marked it. So little tiny chassis. This is the smallest in length I've ever done. This is very close and very similar to one that I got from Carlos at Shtok Custom Sabers when Nick needed a quick turnaround on a very tiny job. So there was like it was like 93 or 95 or something like that. And this one is like 3 to 5 millimeters less than that. So what I did was I kicked the Proffie at a 25, and then still using a 22 millimeter KR speaker. That's 3 watts, 4 ohms. We do have a kill switch on the side here, and I did manage to put an accent strip here on this side, but did my kind of greeblie work on this, painted it to kind of match with copper. My battery wrap is in there, so we'll hit the kill switch here. I do want to make quick note that the positive is towards the speaker. It's clearly labeled there. Be very mindful when you're putting this in to not do that, because we could overload the NeoPixels. So yeah, just a Proffie V3 stock rotary PCB set. I put the pommel back in, so why don't we show it off on the one that's opened? So you can see the pogo pins down in there. And because of how the crystal chamber sits, and we needed that in there, that's why we lost a few millimeters of length. So that being said, kick it on. I didn't try to attempt to fit any onboard tactiles because we were already close with all of the wire work needed. So in order to switch, you have to put these into the hilt. But that being said, this runs most of the fonts that David likes in his sabers. So all of the Starfall package, plus some Jedi Survivor, some Acolyte, and some just other fonts, by the way. So go ahead and take a quick gander close up at the paint job. So little splashes of color, like I mentioned with these switches, I did do kind of a mostly copper paint job with the rub and buff and stuff, but I decided, you know, to do a couple things here and there with splashes of color like I like to do. So like a lot of these buttons got painted. And again, there's a few differentiations between how the rub and buff happened on each of these, but the paint job, for as best as I could, is almost exactly the same. There is a minute difference on these panels, and anyone that wants to pause the video and look close enough can see, but they're pretty identical, so I was pretty happy I could make that happen. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to turn this one off and put it in, and then we'll just put this off to the side so we can focus on one. These do take a 7/8 diameter NeoPixel blade, so we'll do that here in a second, but let's go through a couple fonts. Oh yeah, with these off, you can see the smoky color here. So this one has like a kind of yellowish tint, and this one has like a reddish tint, but they both have opalite spheres in the center. So as soon as you drop that in, you can see it turns on. And then you can see that sphere in the center get lit up. And then if we advance, so you can see how it does that.
Hero's journey.
Some kind of got washed out. And again, you can see the differences between there. So we do have gesture on, so twist on and twist off. I've also turned the volume down a little bit on these. This pommel is, I don't know who makes it, but this pommel is ideally crafted with this resonance chamber here. So we've got a fully enclosed 22 speaker. It's sitting right there, pushing right out, and we've got like just an optimal resonance chamber length. So if we do a quick
battery level 100%.
So we do have the voice packs on here.
Enter volume menu. Maximum volume. Exit volume menu.
So let me see if I can twist on. And hopefully my mic was giving you a sense of how loud that is, but
exit volume menu.
I've set it such where 3 clicks down is kind of like my optimal volume, but you can crank it as loud as you want. So let's hop out and put a blade in it. So this takes, like I said, a 7/8 diameter blade. We'll just make sure that retention screw's out of the way. I'm going to use my quantum blade. Again, it has the optimum number of pixels and looks better on camera. And I do have a nervous dog here that's in my way. So we have, again, all of the fonts from the Starfall package. We're on Ruin right now. So when we hit power, we're in regular mode. So a clash is just a glancing blow. If we want to do a lockup, hold one of the buttons as you clash. Okay, you can do twist off. You notice there was a pre-on, and you can only get a pre-on if you hit power. So if we do a gesture, we'll bypass pre-on, and then we'll enter battle mode. And again, I mention this all the time, battle mode just means you don't have to hold it to lock up. But I've dialed these in so that a slight tap will get a glancing blow like a clash, right? And then a hard one will engage that lockup until you pull out. Now the same goes for if you want to do a melt, right? or if we're pointed down to get a drag. I gotta actually point down. All right, so let's skip ahead to some of the non-Starfall fonts.
Rec. Core, Legacy. Alliance. Ascension. Party Saber.
Okay, so like I said, David of the Saber Museum usually requests additional fonts and programming. So if we want to do the track, point the hilt up for the designated track. If you want to get into track player mode, you can be pointed in any other direction, but hold the power for 2 seconds. Oops, I hit my ceiling fan. And then hold it again to turn it off. And so again, we're pointed any other direction than up. We'll get to track player mode. Get that little chime. And then these are very quiet. Let's see if we can get to one that's not quiet. Almost all these. There we go. There we go. And depending on what button you hit, it'll do something after the fact. So now I can move it around and it'll continue playing. If you move it around and you haven't pressed a button, it'll act like you're dialing through the font or the track selection. So that's that. But again, we do have the Survivor Party mode. So if we do our Special Ability 1, get that little chime mode. And so now heavy accent swings will change the blade color. And then it'll be hard to tell, but it does match in the crystal as well. And obviously with it being a Noah Drew marble with a little bit of coloring, it's not going to be perfect, but you will notice it catch up there. See, now we're in a blue, orange. There we go. So that is Survivor Party mode.
Ninth Sister.
Now this one is a beefy font, so this 22, while it does sound cool, is not going to be as beefy as a bigger speaker, but it still sounds great. And then this one has quotes. So if you point the hilt down and hold power for 2 seconds, you'll flip between force player and quote player.
When I find you, I'll skin you and serve you up to Lord Vader.
So now we're in quote player.
A desperate Jedi. Beautiful.
Okay. And then we can go back to force player, and then you'll notice the blade animate. So. So, and then on OSHA, as we have the Crystal Bleed. So again, we do Special Ability 1, which is hold power and rotate to the right. Get that little sound. And then again, once this gets all the way to the top, the crystal will switch colors. And now that crystal changed. If you want to do a quick change, you can hold power and twist to the left. And it just does a quick change. And again, crystal will always match on this setting. So that's OSHA.
Chimere?
The rest of the Acolyte people will have the Cortosis clash, except I don't think Chimere does, because he's obviously the one that has the Cortosis helmet. So same thing happens, Special Ability 1. What'll happen now is you'll get a time window. You'll hear a sound, which kind of sounds like a roar, and then you'll have 3 seconds to clash. If you clash in that time period, your blade will glitch out for like 10 seconds or something like that, and then it'll reignite in a 2-phase ignition. So here we go. There's our little roar. So if I don't clash, within 3 seconds, I'll miss that window. And then the crystal goes into the off state. And you saw it was a partial ignition to here and then a full ignition. And so now we're in the crystal on phase. So, and that's true of the other Acolyte folks as well. Right? It'll ignite out to here. and then it'll fully ignite. And then that'll stop blinking and it'll be in its on state. So,
my name is Jord Fan.
Kelnaka.
Master Bonestra.
Padawan Torben.
and then we just have a few other ones. But that's basically it. Let me go ahead and put the blade into the other saber as well, just to prove that it does that. Obviously, I gotta pull it out here. So you don't have to pull the chassis all the way out if you want to hit that quick little switch. All right, so we're engaged. Do our twist on. Cornhorn is the only font that has color change direct. So hold aux tap power and you'll flip flop between this white main blade color. Let's see if I can actually do this right. And then a purplish color. And so the crystal will switch as well. So hold aux tap. Oops. And hopefully you're seeing that switch. And again, this particular marble does have a reddish hint. So we're not quite exactly getting that to look like it's much different in purple because it's kind of purple in its own right.
Legacy.
So, and then you can see that opal sphere in there. So yeah, so that is Mystery Saber 191 and 192. Hope that covers it. So David, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Anyone else out there watching, thanks for sticking around, and may the force be with you.